So for years, fall was a mystery to me. I knew the bass were there, but I didn't understand how much they change. In the summer, they're predictable, right? You got deep ledges, grass edges, offshore brush piles. But in the fall, I throw the same baits, hit the same spots, and I swear the lake was empty. The truth is, fall bass are not summer bass, right? They move, they chase, they school up. And if you don't adjust, you're just practicing your casting. So here's the number one rule in the fall. Find the bait, find the bass. As water temperatures cool quickly from the 80s down to the 50s, depending on where you live, shad and other bait fish migrate into the creeks, the coves, and shallow flats. And the bass, well, they follow. It's like Thanksgiving dinner for them. They know winter is coming, and so they feed heavy, sometimes all day long. And once I stopped fishing main lake structure and started chasing bait pods, well, I started catching fish again. Now, if you got forward-facing sonar, look for the schools of shad with bass pushing underneath. And if you don't, watch the surface, looking for that bait that's flickering, busting, or even those birds that are diving down. That is where the action is. Number two, my second mistake, fishing the wrong lures. In summer, I lean heavily on jigs and worms and Texas rig, those slow bottom contact baits. In the fall, kind of killed me because bass aren't sitting around, they're chasing. So here's what I switched to. I'm gonna switch over to guys like this. Your lipless crankbaits, you got your crankbaits. Now, these things are perfect for covering water and imitating bait fish. You rip them through the grass or bang them off rocks to trigger those reaction strikes. My favorite lipless, this is gonna be, I like the Berkeley War Pig. This is gonna be the Aruka Shad, I believe 75. And you can use a variety of different crankbaits. I like the Spro, Little John myself. And then you have your spinner baits and your chatter baits, right? That flash and vibration and that frequency get noticed in stained fall water. And if it's windy, these can be absolute money. My favorite spinner baits, let me go and break this bad boy out. Yeah, this one's from Picasso Lures. I like it. It's a double willow leaf. And another thing I love about this is the swinging head, because once you do set that hook and that bass tries to use the leverage of that lure to spit it, well, that swinging head is going to prohibit it from using that leverage to do so. So I like this. This is Titanium Pro. I believe it's a 3/8 of an ounce. And I'll be throwing that. I have it in here because I'm going to be setting it up here soon. When it comes to chatterbaits, I like the big blade. That's what I've been throwing recently. I throw all kinds of chatterbaits. I love the jackhammer, don't get me wrong. It's a little pricey. Also like throwing the Evo. This one came in a Dark Horse tackle box, and I'm really liking the trailers. This is the MRE from Tactical Fish Co., and this thing is money. All right, so when you're coming up short on those, you want to move over to soft jerk baits and your hard jerk baits, right? When those bass are keyed in on those dying shad, there's nothing better than letting a fluke dart and glide. Also, don't forget that Berkeley Stunna. That twitching action on those hard jerk baits are also great. Jerk baits that get my money. It's gonna be this guy right here. This is gonna be the Berkeley Stunna. Big fan of that, had a lot of luck on that. And then when it comes to flukes, I'll be completely honest with you. I think I just use cheapo flukes. Let me see if I can find them here. The Creme brand right here. These are gonna be the ones you find on the bottom shelf at Walmart. These guys, this is a smoke color. They also come in pearl. So big fan there. Also, don't forget about that top water. Even in the fall, right? You got your buzz baits, your walking baits, even your poppers. They will crush them over those shallow flats, especially in those low light or cloudy days. Here's some of my favorites when it comes to buzz baits. This is gonna be a Brazalo Lures. I believe this is their M1, and this is gonna be a Venom Frog. Let me check that out for sure. I was wrong. This is Urban Fishing Outlaws. This is their Phenom Frog. So that's what I have on the back of that. I like that. And then when it comes to, I need a spot for this. I also like some type of walking bait. This came in the Dark Horse tackle box. I also like the Heddon One Knocker. Has that tungsten, like big thump that brings those big girls up during the fall. This one is kind of a rattle. It also feels like a knocker in there as well. So I like these. Also, you can throw a popper. Not quite sure what popper this is, kind of what they look like. It's got a feather on the end. It's going to push and spit water. And so you can throw this actually on the side of spinning tackle, and these will absolutely get clobbered. Love those. All right, now that the baits are out of the way, let's talk about the third shift. This was location. In the summer, a lot of times I'm just fishing offshore. In the fall, you've got to follow the migration. So here's what I look for. You want to look for those creek mouths, right? These are highways for bait that are moving shallow, and bass will stack up right where the creek meets the main lake. You also want to look for feeder creeks. All right, so here's a tip. You as the angler should push farther back as the season goes on, right? So the early fall, they might be halfway back in that feeder creek. In the late fall, they could be all the way in the back. Also, fish those wind-blown banks. Wind pushes plankton, bait follows, predatory fish, bass follow that. And bass use these areas as ambush zones. But keep in mind, it takes time for that conveyor belt of food to set up. In fact, I have a video on how you can use the wind to catch more bass, and I'll reference that at the end of this video. You will look for shallow flats near deeper water. Bass love those areas where they can push bait shallow, but still have a quick escape route into deeper water. Now here's the deal. If you're not catching, don't stay put. Fall bass are nomadic, right? You've got to move until you find them. And the last change wasn't even about lures, and it wasn't even about spots. It was about mindset. I had to stop being stubborn. In fall, things change fast. The bait moves, the bass move, and the bite changes, it seems like by the hour. Now, one moment I'm burning a lipless crank through a creek mouth. The next, I'm slowing down with a fluke because the bait has spread out. The guys and gals who do well in the fall, they adapt quickly. Once I stopped grinding the same bait in the same spot all day long, that's when I went from skunks to stringers. So that's how I stopped sucking at fall bass fishing. I learned to follow the bait, I sped up my presentations, I fished the right locations, and I adapted my mindset. Don't let fall intimidate you. Dial it in, and honestly, the bite could be some of the best of the year. With the bass feeding up, those 6-pound bass you caught during the summer can now be your 7-8-pound personal best. Now, if this video helped, hit that like button, subscribe for more tips. I got 2,000 videos on fishing. And let me know in the comments, what's your #1 fall bait? Now, here's that wind video I was talking about. Thanks for watching, guys. See ya.